Have you ever glanced at your dinner plate of veggies and wondered, could these greens actually be draining my drive? It sounds wild, but a paper in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism shows men over 60 lose 1% of their testosterone every year, and some data suggests that certain, heart-healthy, vegetables can accelerate that drop by another 10–15% in weeks. I'm PhD Dr. Moore, a urologist and geriatric health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond reclaim their vitality. I've worked with thousands of patients and seen firsthand how subtle dietary shifts can make or break energy levels, muscle strength, bone density, mood, memory, and intimate confidence. My goal is to bring you real-world insights, not quick fixes. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 3 sneaky vegetables that might be sabotaging your hormone balance. From boosting estrogen-like compounds to hijacking vital minerals, these greens have a dark side you never knew about. After we expose these undercover culprits, we'll introduce 3 powerhouse swaps and share simple cooking hacks that help you protect and even boost your testosterone. No prescription required. Stick around, because after we expose these undercover culprits, I'll guide you through safe, prostate-friendly power foods that actually fuel your body instead of draining it. We'll cover fresh beets for circulation, properly prepared cruciferous veggies for estrogen detox, and mushrooms that act like bodyguards for your testosterone. Before we dive in, do me a favor and tap that subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll be the first to catch our senior health deep dives. Drop a 1 below if you've ever felt your drive dim despite eating well, and a 2 if your energy and mojo are still firing on all cylinders. I read every comment and your feedback shapes what comes next. Ready to rethink your greens and reclaim that spring in your step? Now, let's dive into the first vegetable on this list, the one that surprised even me with how much it can impact your health. And I'll tell you about a man I treated who learned this the hard way. You may think that swapping your steak for a plate of tofu or sipping on soy milk is an automatic win for your heart and waistline. But for men over 60, those healthy soy foods can quietly tip your hormonal balance in the wrong direction. Soybeans and their byproducts are uniquely rich in isoflavones, plant compounds structurally similar to human estrogen, called genistein and daidzein. These phytoestrogens can bind to your estrogen receptors, ERs, sometimes triggering weak estrogenic effects when your own testosterone levels are already winding down with age. Here's the catch. After age 60, most men lose roughly 1% of their serum testosterone each year. Add even modest extra estrogenic activity and that decline can feel like a free fall, leaving you with less muscle mass, lower bone density, and yes, a wobblier sense of confidence in the bedroom. Animal studies have long shown that high doses of isoflavones can suppress testosterone, and lab work confirms the mechanism. Phytoestrogens fit into the beta lock, nudging your body's own hormone feedback loops out of sync. Now, before you swear off every soy product in sight, it's important to know the nuance. A comprehensive meta-analysis of 41 clinical trials involving thousands of men found that in generally healthy, middle-aged subjects, typical soy or isoflavone intakes didn't meaningfully change total or free testosterone levels. But, and this is key, those studies rarely focused on men already experiencing low-T symptoms. If your baseline testosterone is hovering near the lower normal range, around 300–400 nanograms per deciliter, even the mild, estrogenic nudge of a few servings of tofu or processed soy protein isolate could push you into suboptimal territory. Let's look at real-world routines. A common recommendation from cardiologists is to replace red meat with heart-healthy plant proteins. Think 3 servings of soy milk, a block of tofu, and a handful of edamame every week. That easily adds up to 25–30 grams of soy protein daily, which is above the 20 grams per day threshold where some experts advise moderation. My patient James, a 68-year-old retired teacher, experienced this firsthand. Proudly swapping his morning eggs for soy sausage and blending a daily green smoothie with soy milk, he noticed his energy tanked, his mood soured, and the spark in his marriage dimmed. His labs showed testosterone sliding from 380 nanograms per deciliter down to 310 nanograms per deciliter over 6 months. Once we dialed his soy intake back to a single serving of whole soy foods per week and replaced the rest of his protein with fish, lean poultry, and whey isolates, his levels rebounded to 450 nanograms per deciliter, and within weeks his pep and libido returned. So what's the takeaway? Whole, minimally processed soy, edamame, tempeh, and firm tofu can still be part of your plate, but keep it to no more than one small serving, around 100 grams, 2 to 3 times a week. And steer clear of high-dose isoflavone supplements, textured vegetable protein, and protein bars loaded with soy isolate. For balanced hormone support, focus on alternating plant proteins, beans, lentils, nuts, with clean animal sources, wild salmon, free-range poultry, and even whey or pea protein powders. By understanding how phytoestrogens act, binding to your estrogen receptors, tweaking sex hormone-binding globulin SHBG levels, and potentially nudging testosterone downward, you gain power over your plate. A few small swaps, like swapping half your weekly soy load for eggs or fish, can go a long way toward preserving muscle strength, bone health, and intimate confidence. Number 2, corn oil. You know how we're always told to swap butter for margarine or slather our salads in that heart-healthy oil? Well, in many cases it's corn syrup in our sodas, corn starch in our snacks, and especially corn oil in everything from cooking sprays to salad dressings. That's quietly tipping the scales against you. Here's the deal. Most vegetable oils, corn oil chief among them, are very high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fats. In a perfect world, you'd keep your daily omega-6 to omega-3 ratio around 1 to 1 to 4 to 1. But in typical Western diets, that ratio soars to anywhere between 10 to 1 and 30 to 1, driving a simmering inflammation you can't see but definitely feel. Omega-6s aren't the dietary villains we once thought. They're essential fats, and even recommended to make up about 5–10% of your daily calories by the American Heart Association and Institute of Medicine. The problem is balance. When omega-6s massively outnumber omega-3s, the good fats in flax seeds, walnuts, and fatty fish, your body's inflammatory pathways go into overdrive. That chronic, low-grade inflammation plays havoc on your linings of tiny blood vessels, your endothelium, which is supposed to produce nitric oxide to keep arteries flexible and blood flowing smoothly. Think of your vascular system as a garden hose. Inflammation makes it stiff, kinked, and less able to push water through. In men, one of the first places you notice that stiffening is in erectile function. ED often precedes heart trouble because those penile arteries are narrower and more sensitive to endothelial damage. You may also feel it every time you stand up too fast, walk the dog, or try to climb stairs, with a dull ache or fatigue that wasn't there before. Take my patient Robert, for example, a spry 62-year-old who switched to margarine, used corn-based cooking oils, and thought he was making a heart-healthy choice. Within months, he came back complaining of joint aches, persistent tiredness, and yes, fading bedroom confidence. We swapped out his processed seed oils for olive oil and avocado oil, bumped his omega-3 intake with salmon and walnuts, and within 4 weeks his joint pain eased, his morning energy surged, and those nagging performance issues started reversing. So what can you do today? First, red labels. If you see corn oil, soybean oil, or partially hydrogenated in your pantry, think twice. Opt instead for extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil, which are higher in monounsaturated fats and much gentler on your system. Stir in a tablespoon of ground flaxseed or a handful of walnuts to boost omega-3s. And remember, moderation is key. Aim for no more than 5–10% of your daily calories from omega-6s, per AHA guidelines. By rebalancing your fats, you're not just protecting your heart, you're giving your vessels the flexibility to deliver blood where it matters most, whether you're hitting the golf course, chasing grandkids, or enjoying a night out. It's a simple shift that can make a world of difference in how you feel, move, and perform every day. Number 3. Raw spinach. You've probably been tossing a handful of raw spinach into your morning smoothie or salad, thinking you're doing your bones and blood pressure a favor. But here's the catch. Spinach is one of the highest oxalate foods out there, with a single half cup of cooked spinach containing around 755 mg of oxalate, and 1 cup of raw leaves clocking in at about 656 mg. For most of us, typical daily oxalate intake runs between 50 and 200 mg. Yet just one serving of spinach can push you 3 to 4 times over that amount. In your gut, oxalate acts like a stealthy mineral robber. It binds tightly to calcium, magnesium, and other essential minerals, forming insoluble complexes that your body simply can't absorb, and then it shuttles them right out in your stool. That means every time you sip that green powerhouse smoothie, you could be losing critical zinc and calcium, nutrients that older men especially need to maintain healthy testosterone production, bone density, and muscle strength. The World Health Organization doesn't set a formal limit for oxalate intake, but it's clear from clinical nutrition guidelines that overconsumption can lead not only to mineral deficiencies, but also to kidney stones in susceptible individuals. One of my patients, William, a fit, 67-year-old marathon enthusiast, noticed his energy and libido slipping even though he was careful about diet and exercise. His blood work revealed borderline low zinc levels, despite plenty of spinach in his diet. Once we looked closer, it made sense. Raw spinach's oxalates were locking up his zinc before his body could use it. By simply swapping his daily raw spinach smoothie for a quick sauté, just blanch or sauté the leaves for 2–3 minutes in a little olive oil. His zinc markers climbed by nearly 30% over the next month, and he felt that familiar spark of strength and stamina return. You don't have to swear off spinach forever. Cooking is the key. Boiling or blanching spinach can leach out up to 30–40% of its oxalate content into the cooking water, making those minerals more available to you. Try a simple routine. Pop your spinach into boiling water for 90 seconds, drain and rinse, then toss it with garlic and a squeeze of lemon. You'll still get the fiber, folate, and phytonutrients, but far fewer oxalates tying up your hard-earned minerals. Pair it with a calcium-rich food, like a sprinkle of feta or some almonds, to help any remaining oxalate bind in the gut and never reach your bloodstream. By understanding how oxalates work, you gain control over your plate and your health. Small shifts, cooking instead of raw, mindful pairing of foods, and a balanced vegetable rotation that includes low-oxalate greens like kale or arugula, can preserve the minerals your body needs to keep testosterone levels steady, bones strong, and energy high. We've unmasked these 3 undercover saboteurs of your testosterone. Let's flip the script and explore 3 powerhouse foods that can rebuild your hormone balance and reignite your vitality. Imagine turning a kinked garden hose into a full-blast fire hose and feeling that surge in your legs, heart, and yes, even your confidence. That's exactly what happens when you give your body a steady supply of dietary nitrates, and the richest natural source is right under your nose. Beets. In a landmark meta-analysis published in the Journal of Nutrition, researchers found that simply drinking about 500 ml of nitrate-rich beetroot juice daily led to an average drop in systolic blood pressure of 4 millimeters of mercury and a diastolic drop of 1 millimeters of mercury in adults, including older men prone to hypertension. That may not sound dramatic, but in cardiovascular terms, every 2 millimeters of mercury reduction slashes your risk of heart attack by 7% and stroke by 10%. What's even more exciting is that older adults seem to reap the greatest benefits. In a recent trial at the University of Exeter, adults in their 60s and 70s sipped concentrated beetroot shots twice a day for 2 weeks and saw significant blood pressure reductions that younger participants simply didn't experience. Why? As we age, our natural nitric oxide production dwindles, and these nitrates act as a shortcut, converted first in your saliva and then in your bloodstream into nitric oxide, the molecule that relaxes and widens your arteries. I'll never forget Tom, a 72-year-old retired firefighter who came to me feeling slow on morning walks and frustrated in the bedroom. We added a 200-milliliter shot of homemade beet juice to his morning routine, just beets, a squeeze of lemon, and a dash of ginger. Within 10 days his energy rebounded, his joints felt less stiff, and he was enjoying morning erections again. His blood pressure fell from 142/88 to 130/80 millimeters of mercury over those 2 weeks, and more than that, he told me he felt like myself. Once more. The American Heart Association recommends filling at least half your plate with fruits and vegetables, about 4 or 5 servings of veggies daily, to reduce cardiovascular risk and support healthy aging. Incorporating beets into that mix checks 2 boxes. You boost your nitrate intake and you get fiber, folate, and antioxidants that further support healthy circulation and brain function. Here's a simple way to start. Grab 2-3 medium beets, scrub and chop them, no need to peel. Then toss in a blender with half a lemon peel and all and 100 milliliter of water. Blend, strain if you like, and drink immediately. If you prefer a salad, grate raw beets over leafy greens with a drizzle of olive oil and a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds for both texture and extra magnesium. Just avoid canned or pickled beets. The heat and vinegar can destroy many of those precious nitrates. A quick caveat: if you're on blood pressure medications, check with your doctor before jumping in, as your readings may drop more than you expect. Otherwise, a daily beet habit is a low-cost, natural way to keep your vessels and your testosterone-fed vitality flowing strong. Next time you're at the market, don't let those ruby beets hide in the produce bin. Give them a starring role on your plate or in your glass, and watch as simple nitrates turn into big gains in energy, circulation, and confidence. No prescription needed. Number 2, broccoli. You've probably heard that broccoli is a superfood for your heart and cancer prevention. But for men over 60, the way you cook it can make all the difference between a health boost and a missed opportunity. Broccoli contains a compound called sulforaphane, formed when you chop or lightly chew the florets. Sulforaphane is one of the most potent natural detoxifiers known, helping your liver clear excess estrogen and calm inflammation in the prostate and blood vessels. Clinical trials have taken this from the lab to the clinic. Men taking sulforaphane-rich broccoli sprout extracts showed measurable drops in the markers of prostate inflammation and even in PSA levels over several weeks. In fact, a phase II study published in Clinical Cancer Research found that daily doses of around 200 micromole of sulforaphane led to better cellular repair in prostate tissue, suggesting a real protective effect against age-related hormone imbalance. Here's the catch. Sulforaphane is heat-sensitive. Blast your broccoli in the microwave for 5 minutes and you'll destroy up to 90% of its benefits. Instead, try cutting your broccoli into large chunks and letting them rest for 40 seconds before steaming for just 3-4 minutes. This pre-cut rest lets the enzyme myrosinase activate, converting its precursor glucoraphanin into sulforaphane, and the gentle steam preserves it. One of my patients, George, a 70-year-old veteran, switched from microwaved veggie bags to this simple routine, adding a broccoli, apple slaw to his lunch. Within a month, his lab tests showed a 25% reduction in his PSA markers, and he told me his joint aches were milder and his morning energy noticeably better. To make it easy at home, toss chopped broccoli with a dash of extra, virgin olive oil, a sprinkle of crushed red pepper, and steam over simmering water for 4 minutes. Finish with a squeeze of lemon to help your liver process any lingering toxins. Pair it with a handful of walnuts on the side to add omega-3s, which further support healthy inflammation balance. By mastering this one cooking trick, you transform a humble cruciferous vegetable into a targeted prostate and hormone ally, helping you stay strong, sharp, and confident well into your golden years. Number 3. White button mushrooms. You've probably never thought of ordinary mushrooms as your hormones' personal bodyguards, but that's exactly what they can be. White button mushrooms, Agaricus bisporus, contain several phytochemicals that act as natural aromatase inhibitors, blocking the enzyme that converts your precious testosterone into estrogen. In lab tests, heat-stable extracts of these mushrooms suppressed aromatase activity in human placental microsomes in a clear, dose-dependent way, mixed inhibition kinetics, suggesting multiple compounds at work. Follow-up studies using aromatase-expressing breast cancer cells confirmed that mushroom extracts not only cut estrogen production, but also slowed cell proliferation. In plain terms, that means adding a few servings of sautéed mushrooms into your weekly meal plan can help preserve more of the testosterone you've got. Exactly what men over 60 need, as natural production drops roughly 1% per year. Take my patient John, a 68-year-old retired engineer who'd been feeling perpetually sluggish and unfocused. His labs showed a borderline low testosterone of 320 nanograms per deciliter. After swapping in 100–150 grams of button mushrooms, cooked lightly with garlic and olive oil, 3 times a week, his follow-up blood work 6 weeks later revealed a bump to 390 nanograms per deciliter. And he told me he felt sharper, stronger, and yes, more like himself in the bedroom. Cooking makes all the difference. Heavy microwaving or canning destroys the active compounds, but a gentle sauté or quick roast preserves them. Aim for 1–2 cups of fresh mushrooms per meal, about 100–150 grams, tossed into omelets, stir-fries, or a simple garlic butter sauté. Pair them with a source of healthy fat, olive oil, avocado, or a pat of grass-fed butter, to improve absorption of fat-soluble nutrients and further support healthy inflammation balance. For extra hormone harmony, consider rotating in shiitake or oyster mushrooms, which show similar aromatase-inhibiting properties in preclinical studies. By making mushrooms a weekly staple, think stuffed portobellos for dinner or mushroom-topped chicken salad for lunch, you're arming your body with natural compounds that slow the testosterone drain. No prescription needed, just a cast iron pan, some fresh fungi, and a few minutes at the stove. Give it a try, and let those humble mushrooms help keep you strong, resilient, and running on your own testosterone power well into your golden years. Finally, let's round out our hormone support playbook with a few secret weapons and lifestyle tweaks that work hand in hand with the foods we've covered. Think of these as the fine-tuning that keeps your engine running smoothly. First up is boron, a trace mineral that quietly lowers levels of SHBG, that's sex hormone-binding globulin, freeing up more of your body's natural testosterone to do its job. Most of us get only about 1 milligram per day from our diet. Avocados, dates, and raisins are top sources, but studies suggest even a modest boost of 3–6 milligram daily can tip the balance in your favor. You don't need a fancy supplement. Try tossing a handful of raisins into your morning oatmeal or blending a few dates into your evening smoothie. Next, don't sleep on vitamin D, literally. After age 60, your skin's ability to make vitamin D from sunlight drops off, yet you still need about 800 IU daily to keep your bones strong, immune system sharp, and testosterone receptors responsive. Aim for wild fatty fish, fortified dairy or plant milks, and sensible sun exposure, 15 minutes on forearms, 2 to 3 times a week. If you live up north or spend most days indoors, A simple 1000 IU supplement can close the gap. Selenium deserves a shout-out too. This trace element powers antioxidant enzymes that protect your testicular and prostate tissues from oxidative stress. The RDA for men is 55 microgram per day, easily met with a few Brazil nuts. One nut has about 90 microgram, or a serving of tuna. Just don't overdo it. Keep total intake under 200 microgram daily to avoid toxicity. Now, let's talk sleep. The National Sleep Foundation recommends 7-8 hours per night for older adults to support hormone regulation, memory, and mood. Skimp on rest and your cortisol spikes, knocking testosterone off balance. Aim for consistent bed and wake times, a dark, cool room, and a wind-down ritual, no screens in the last hour. Last but certainly not least, move your body. Resistance training, even simple bodyweight exercises or light dumbbells, boosts both circulation and natural testosterone production. Studies show that men over 60 who lift weights 2 to 3 times a week gain lean mass, shed fat, and report less fatigue than those relying on hormones alone. You don't need a gym membership, push-ups against the kitchen counter, chair squats while waiting for your coffee, or a few bicep curls with water bottles all count. By weaving these small but powerful habits, boron-rich snacks, vitamin D and selenium from food or supplements, solid sleep and smart strength work, into your daily routine, you're setting the stage for sustained vitality, strength, and confidence. All right, you've seen how a few everyday foods can either quietly chip away at your vitality or serve as true allies in your quest for strength and confidence. Here's your simple, 3-step action plan to put it all into motion. 1. Purge the culprits. Over the next week, scan your pantry and fridge labels for soy isolate, corn oil, and raw spinach smoothies. Gradually dial each back, swap to fish, olive oil, and lightly sautéed greens instead. 2. Champion the champions. Build in at least 1 serving of beets, broccoli, and mushrooms every other day. Morning beet juice. A midday broccoli slaw or mushroom-topped omelets make this effortless and delicious. 3. Lock in the lifestyle boosters. Sprinkle in boron-rich dates or raisins. Aim for 7-8 hours of sleep. Soak up a little sun for vitamin D. And challenge your muscles with simple resistance moves 2-3 times a week. Try it for the next 14 days and pay attention to how you feel. More pep on your walks, firmer confidence in the bedroom, easier stair climbing, sharper focus. Drop a quick note below telling us which switch you'll tackle first, soy swap, beet juice habit, or that spinach shortcut, and what changes you notice. Hit like if you found these tips helpful, then subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into senior strong nutrition hacks. Here, to reclaiming your mojo, one smart bite and small habit at a time.